I'm the king of rock, there is none higher. Sucker MCs should call me sire. To run my kingdom, you must choose fire. I won't stop rocking till I retire.
Now we rock dark parties and come correct. All cuts are on time and rhymes connect. Got the right to vote and we'll elect. And other rappers can't stand us, but give us respect.
Chiller.
It's not
Michael
Jackson,
and
this is not Thriller. It's one death rapper. I know I can hang. I'm Run DMC like Hooper Cool in the game.
Roll to the rock, rock to the roll. DMC stands for devastated mind control. You can't touch me with a 10-foot pole, and I even made the devil sell me his soul.
Now we crash through walls,
Come through floors,
bust through ceilings,
knock down doors.
and when we're on the tape,
We're fresh out the box.
you can hear our sound.
4 blocks and blocks.
For every living person,
We're a purple tree.
it's me and DMC.
Jay, where's the beat? Beat, beat.
Now we're the baddest of the bad.
Coolest of the cool, I'm DMC, I rock and roll.
DJ Run, I rock and rule. It's not a trick or treat,
And it's not an April Fool.
it's all brand new, never
Ever
old.
school.
You got the music
In your body,
and you can't
comprehend.
when your
Mind won't wiggle.
and your knees won't bend. Music ain't nothing but a people's jam. It's DJ Run,
DMC,
rocking without a band.
Now I walked on ice, it never fell. I spent my time in a plush hotel. I stood on many stages, held many mics. Take airplane flights at huge heights.
So all you sucker MCs, you gotta say please.
Cause when it jumps high,
I'm pulling down weeds, got a song so strong. It's knocking down trees, is it hard to believe it's Run
DMC. I am from around the way, and Ron goes to school every day. And Jay plays the record he has to play, and we get down with no delay. Hey, I rap party with the words I speak, and Run says the rhymes that are unique. And Jay cuts the record
every day of the week.
and we are the crew that can never be me. So don't try to diss me, try to be my friend. Cause if you do, you get jaws in the air. The rhymes we say,
So set a trend
because a devastated rap.
is what we say. Every jam we play, we break 2 needles. There's 3 of us, but we're not the Beatles.
My name is Darryl.
You can call him D,
You can call me down
or
right.
you can call him DMC.
People always ask me,
DMC, what does it mean?
these for never dirty.
MC for mostly clean. Like we said before,
We rap hardcore.
I'm DJ Run like a scratch.
I'm DMC, I can draw.
And now we got the knack.
To attract
Our rhymes and aphrodisiac hack. We'll rain on the brain and rock your knot.
when it comes to a rap.
Give it all we got.
To BMC, we got what it takes.
Let the poppers pop and the breakers break. We're cool cats. It's like that. That's the way it is. So stay the hell back. We're causing hard time.
But sucker MCs, cause they don't make no songs like these.
All right, Lancer Library listeners, this is our 1985 show. And today's special guests include Michael J. Fox, Mikhail Gorbachev, Angela Lansbury, Ronald Reagan, B. Arthur, Ted Danson, Miss America Charlene Wells, and the Solid Gold Dancers. Along with special guests, occupational therapist Dr. Erin Rose, and junior Emily Swift. How are you doing, Mr. Yelsey?
I'm doing all right. Sorry about that. My computer's acting a little up, but we're good now.
I'm glad to have you back here. So this is the 1985 show. We should probably warn our listeners right up front. You've already gotten some guff from your dad.
Yeah,
We should warn them what they're not going to get.
I mean, they're not getting. I mean, this is 1985, but we're not getting Madonna. You guys are not going to hear, Cyndi Lauper or We Are the World.
Lauper.
Look, I was born in 2001. All right, like, what do you want?
Won't hold that against you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, today's theme is 1985. We have some classics from that era, according to me, Mr. Cataract, I guess you can say. But yeah, it's gonna be a good episode.
Yeah, first one up that we had was Going Out to Mr. Ash. That was Run DMC, King of Rock. And we've got a whole bunch of other things to get to. But right now we're going to get to all of that, including our special guests, Erin Rose and Emily Swift, right after a message from our sponsor, New Coke. Here's Husker Du. Makes no sense at all.
Walking around with your head in the clouds, it makes no sense at all. So you're so short, but you're walking so tall, it makes no sense at all. Is it important you're yelling so loud, it makes no sense at all. Walking around with your head in the clouds makes no difference at all. It makes no sense at all. Makes no difference at all. Well, I don't know why you wanna tell me when I'm right or when I'm wrong. It's the same thing in your mind. The only time I'm right is when I play along. When I play along. Walking around with your head in the clouds, it makes no sense at all. So you're so short, but you're walking so tall, it makes no sense at all. Is it important you're yelling so loud, it makes no sense at all. Walking around with your head in the clouds makes no difference at all. Yeah, it makes no sense at all. Makes no difference at all. You concern yourself with evidence. It's evident to me. Well, you say you got the tiger by the tail, but I don't see these things that way. See these things that way. Walking around with your head in the clouds, it makes no sense at all. So you're so short, but you're walking so tall, it makes no sense at all. Is it important you're yelling so loud, it makes no sense at all. Walking around with your head in the clouds makes no difference at all. Yeah, makes no sense at all. Makes no difference at all. Walking around with your head in the clouds, it makes no sense at all.
And that was Makes No Sense at All by Husker Du. Connor, that was one of your choices, wasn't it?
That was, yeah, that's a punk classic from either St. Paul or Minneapolis, Minnesota.
That's great. I hadn't heard them in a long time, so that's nice. We get a couple of other interesting things coming up. but let's go deep into 1985 for a second, at least into movies. Um, you, are you going to ask me trivia questions, or are you just going to tell me what was going on? What was going on in the big movies of
Big
1985?
movies. Well, I'm gonna ask you one question first. Do you know what won by any chance Best Picture in 1985?
Ooh, Best Picture in 1985. I'm going to say The Color Purple.
That is wrong.
Oh, ouch.
It was Amadeus.
Oh, yeah, okay. I remember going to see Amadeus. I waited in line to go see Amadeus, and it was a great movie. It's wonderful. If anybody is looking for movie suggestions, so oh wow, I had Out of Africa was my other one for Best Picture, but all right, Amadeus. What else you got for me?
Um, what country banned the most popular movie of that year? Back to
Oh,
the
oh,
Future.
oh! I
What
got
is it? What is
that.
it?
It's China. And
Yep.
because they distorted history by going back in time, some lame excuse like that.
Yeah, their excuse was it was a disrespectful use of time. Um, I don't know what that means, but that's okay.
I don't know either. All right, let's get back to the music. The next one is yours as well. What do we got up next?
Yeah, we have a classic record, a perfect record in my opinion. This song off that record is Kate Bush, and the song is Running Up That Hill.
All right, here we go.
It doesn't hurt me. Do you wanna feel
Awesome. That was Kate Bush's Running Up the Hill off her 1985 classic Hounds of Love. So our first guest for today is Dr. Erin Rose. She is an occupational therapist for Norfolk schools. She works at the high school, Clark Lane, and Quaker Hill. How you doing, Dr. Rose?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. I just realized before the show, Dr. Rose and I were talking that she actually used to work for my mom at the lighthouse in Niantic. So that's pretty funny right there. Um, but to be honest with you, I don't know what an occupational therapist does. What does your job entail?
So, for short, they call me the OT, and the root word of occupational therapist is occupation, and that's anything that's meaningful or purposeful to you. So, in schools, the main occupations would be play, because I mostly work with elementary school kids, or going to school. So, as an OT, I address anything that may be a barrier to a student's occupation or learning. So, that could be motor skills, that could be coordination, self-regulation, social skills, play skills, behavior management. Occupation is truly all encompassing, so it varies depending on the person.
Okay, cool. Obviously, that right now everyone's occupation has pretty much been, disturbed, I guess you can say, because of the coronavirus. How has that, affected your job, and how has, your job kind of been transformed since you can't, meet with people one-on-one?
So what's interesting is I'm also an adjunct professor at Quinnipiac University, and
Oh, cool.
this is actually something that I teach about. So what we're all experiencing right now because of the coronavirus is what's called an occupational interruption. And that's basically a temporary interference with you being able to do what's meaningful and purposeful. So like, for example, you might go to church on Sunday, you might go to the gym every morning, you might go to sports practices, you might get a haircut every 6 weeks. And we're just not able to do that now because we're not able to go outside, we're not able to leave the house for anything that's not essential. So one of the things that we talk about is like, what do you do now?
Yeah.
Naturally, your response is, okay, that's true, but now what do I do? And to answer that, if you don't do anything, you're at risk for your health declining. And I'm sure many of us have already experienced some of that. Some of it's mental and some of it's physical. So for example, we're all stressed out. We might not know what day it is. We might not, our biological clock might be off because we're not sleeping as well, or we might be used to going to work 8 to 4 and we don't have that anymore. So some people become depressed. They might have anxiety. They might be worried. And then on the physical side, you might be snacking more. You might be baking and eating cookies and cakes and things that make you feel good, which leads to extra weight. So one of the things that I talk about when I teach is that you've got to just start trying to create a new normal and create a new schedule or a new routine for yourself. So that might be, you take an online yoga class if you used to go to yoga, or you might take an educational class if you aren't going to work anymore. You might do something to kind of fill those voids that you're having, or kind of scratch those itches that you normally were able to do going out of your house.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know for me, like, I viewed this as like, oh, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna have opportunities to try new things and finally do that and stuff. And I've kind of found myself just kind of blinking, and like the time kind of just goes by. And I was talking to my mom about it yesterday. Like, how do you like actually situate that schedule and actually get yourself to do it? Because with this amount of the super high comfort level that everyone kind of has right now, we're home, we're in our sweatpants all day, we're trying just doing whatever we want. It's kind of caused us to kind of like stagnate a little bit. How do you kind of find that urge to start doing things you've always kind of wanted to do?
So I think it just starts with looking at your old routine. So we all have something that we were used to doing, and just looking at what your schedule looked like or what your routine looked like, and kind of creating that same routine for yourself, just so you know what day it is. Like for right now, for me, I'm a yogi, so I do yoga on Mondays. So that's how I know what day it is because I do yoga on Mondays. Or I might take a walk in the park where I normally would take my kids to the park. I have 3 kids, so for us, one of our scheduled routines was to go to the park. So now we can't do that. So I've replaced that with saying, hey, at 10 o'clock, I'm going to go walk around the neighborhood with you guys. And I set an alarm on my phone to say, okay, it's Tuesday at 10 o'clock. My alarm's going off. It's time for us to go to a walk. So just little
Okay.
things like that. Like sometimes it might be setting an alarm for yourself to go to
Yeah.
bed, so that you get to bed on time and you get your sleep, or setting an alarm in the morning so you wake up at a certain time, and just creating a new pattern or kind of routine or body clock for yourself.
Would you say for today's age, like the best way to set up a schedule is like via technology? Because I feel like every time I've tried doing that in the past, I'll get a notification or something. I kind of gets like kind of snatched to that, minus the phone and like laptops, stuff like that. How is a really like healthy way to set up a schedule?
That's interesting you say technology. I think it's always good to go out in nature and to have some non-screen time. And I think that's hard right now because so much of the distance learning is through a computer, like you said, a tablet or maybe your phone. So I think even setting up times in your day where you have no phone access or no screen access might be healthy and better for you.
Cool. I do have another question about kind of like setting up that like time for yourself. I know like in my junior year, Miss Collins I had as an English teacher, she really hyped up about um having like a personal like journal to like just kind of like write all your thoughts in, a commonplace book she called it. And that's kind of helped me kind of set with the schedule. Do you think that works for everybody? Is that a very like kind of personal base? Because I found that like the more you kind of write your day out, the more I guess the more of a vision you have of that. Do you think that works for everybody, or is that kind of a more case by case scenario?
Well, like I said, occupation it really depends on the person. It depends on what's meaningful and purposeful to you. So, for some that might be writing in a journal, for some that might be painting, for some that might be doing absolutely nothing all day. Like it really just depends on your own definition of what life balance is and what your life balance looks like. So, like, for example, for me, I'm an introvert and I don't really, it's different for me to be home with all three kids and my husband and have so many people in my space all the time. And I've negotiated and talked to everybody to say I need like 1 hour during the day that's just my quiet time. So every day from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock is my quiet time. And it's my own time that I can do whatever I want. If that's take a nap, that might be what I need that day. Or if that's, playing on my computer and looking for area rugs, that might be something that's meaningful and purposeful to me. So that's what works. So I think it's just important to figure out what brings you joy and what feels very meaningful to you and do that.
Yeah.
It's
I
simple as that.
know. Yeah, I know. Like you were saying, like yoga, and that was really good thing. Like, I love what you just said right there. But on YouTube, since everyone's online and people, I know a lot of friends of mine who like want to find ways to move on YouTube, for instance. What are some great accounts that kind of get you into yoga and get you into kind of like moving your body more, in a very like situated area?
Well, what's nice is that we have access to so many resources. So you could Google anything. If you want to Google a yoga routine that's 15 minutes, you can Google that. If you want to Google a meditation to do that's, for a certain period of time, you can Google a meditation. You can Google a specific thing, like a meditation for people who can't sleep or a meditation for people who are stressed out. And you get all these results in instant, videos that help guide you through that and just access to professional expertise in areas that you might not have. But I mean, again, it goes back to what's meaningful and purposeful. So like TikTok is a big thing with people now. Like you learn a TikTok dance and that's a way to move and feel good. And that's something that I do now that I definitely did not have any interest in before the coronavirus. But my kids love doing the dances. So it's something that we do together as a family. And it's something that's out there and accessible to all.
That's awesome. Okay. We usually ask our guests this kind of same question as well. What are two things you're grateful for right now, and what's one thing you miss about the old world?
Two things I'm grateful for. So one is definitely the safety and health of my family. We're fortunate that we're all able to be home together. I know some still are having to go out into the workforce and put their lives at risk, which is can be very scary. So I'm thankful for that. And I'm also thankful that I live in a place that I can go walk around the neighborhood and have access to something that is very meaningful to me, which is being out in nature. I think one thing that I miss is being social and having social time. I think I had really good life balance where I had time to not be a mom and wife and just kind of do things that I enjoy and to spend time with friends outside of home and maybe try different restaurants and, do fun things that I leave my house for.
Okay. Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much for an awesome conversation. That was great to have you. So, buddy, thank you so much again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that now our next song is "And She Was" by Talking Heads. Thank you again, Dr. Rose.
Thank you.
And she was lying in the grass, and she could hear the highway breathing, and she could see an in-and-out factory. She's making
right. That was the Talking Heads, and She Was. I think that was the only song when Connor and I gave each other our lists for today's show that it was the only part of the Venn diagram that overlapped when
Yeah,
we
that
said
was it.
1985. There was a couple of other songs from that album that I was thinking about, but I think really that's the best one of the whole lot. That was a great interview, Connor.
Thank you.
I wasn't talking about you. No, I was actually. You were really great. But I really liked what Dr. Rose had to say about, it's such a different world, the high school world and the elementary world. And when she said, I'm an occupational therapist for elementary school, I'm like, what does that even mean? And like, I just have no clue because, like I said, it's different worlds. But I love the way that she explained it. An occupation is something meaningful and something that you've derived meaning and you derive some type of sense of purpose from. And for a third grader, that's working in a sandbox, I guess, or getting their work done in the classroom. And why did I create a fake radio show? It's the only way. She's absolutely right. It's like,
Yeah.
before the radio show, we had, remember we had like that 2-week period where we didn't go.
That was weird. That was a weird time.
Yeah, it was like March 13th, we were gone. And we're like, all right, like for 2 weeks, I felt like I was like a pinball bouncing against the walls. And then I was like, oh, I should do a radio program. And now it's like Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We know what we're doing. I have some, I'm not just sitting there staring at the wall or something like that. So that was great. You did a nice job. She did a great job. That was really cool. All right. We have the very last poetry segment for our National Poetry Month. April was National Poetry Month. Hopefully people actually looked at the comments and read some of the poems. I know I got a reaction to last week's poem or last show's poem on Monday, Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden, particular favorite of mine, and all about what parents do for us that we don't necessarily understand or appreciate when we're young. Today's poem, it's the last one, and so I wanted to pick another personal favorite, but it got nothing to do with seriousness whatsoever. This, some of you may know from Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, or is it in The Looking Glass? I can't remember which. I think it's in The Looking Glass, actually.
Yeah, yep.
All right, you got that. I didn't have that. This is read by Benedict Cumberbatch. This is Jabberwocky.
'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time the manxome foe he sought, so rested he by the tum-tum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock with eyes of flame came whiffling through the tugly wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker-snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy, O frabjous day, callooh, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borrow groves, and the mome raths outgrabe.
All right, that was Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll, read by Benedict Cumberbatch, also known as Doctor Strange, also known as Sherlock. He's done a bunch of great things. And from there, we go on to another album released in 1985. Connor, do you want to introduce this particular one?
Yeah. This is, in my opinion, another classic perfect record from '85. Also, the song beforehand, Talking Heads, I saw David Byrne in concert before.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You were on. He was on Broadway a couple of like a month or two ago.
And when the world settles down and we all feel safe going to cities again, I recommend to anybody, even if you're not a music fan, to go see American Utopia, David Byrne's play. It's probably the best live musical experience I've ever been to. I would say, if not top 5, top 3 for me. It's just amazing. It's an incredible show. You can look it up on YouTube right now. But another classic from '85 we're going to do real quick is Tom Waits. That's the song Downtown Train off his classic record, Rain Dog.
And right after this, we'll be talking to Emily Swift, so stick around for that. Here's Tom Waits.
Outside another yellow moon has punched a hole in the nighttime, yes. I climb to the window and down to the street. I'm shining like a new dime. The downtown trains are full for those Brooklyn girls. They try so hard to break out of their little worlds. Well, you wave your hand and they scatter like crows. They have nothing that will ever capture your heart. They're just thorns without the rose. Be careful of them in the dark. Oh, if I was the one you chose to be your only one. Oh yeah, can't you hear me now? Can't you hear me now? Well, I see you tonight on a downtown train. Every night it's just the same. You leave me lonely now. I know your window and I know it's late. I know your stairs and your doorway. I walk down your street and past your gate. I stand by the light of the four-way. You watch a massive fall. Oh baby, they all have heart attacks. They stay at the carnival, but they'll never win you back. I'll see you tonight on downtown train. Every night is just the same. Oh baby, well I'll see you tonight on a downtown train. Oh, I love my dreams, they fall like rain. Oh baby, on a downtown train.
All right, that was Tom Waits and Downtown Train. That was one of Connor's selections doing our 1985 show. And when I posted on Monday that we were going to do, on Monday we did our 1975 show, and today we're doing 1985. Friday we're doing 1995, and God knows we might end up being here so long we do 2025 or something. But whenever I posted that, Emily Swift reacted. Apparently she loves 80s music. How are you, Emily? Are you there?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm so glad that you responded. We had an open spot, and we like to, we know that Connor and I, we like the music. Everybody else likes the interviews. So I'm so glad that you're here. How have you been doing?
I've been doing okay. How about you?
Well, as Dr. Rose pointed out, I have found purpose and meaning in my life by creating a fake radio show. So I'm doing okay. And I get to talk to you. It's nice. I haven't seen you in the library for 6 weeks. So that's sort of a drag. How have you been filling in your time? You told me a little bit in the email you sent me. What have you been doing with yourself?
Well, I've been watching a lot of movies
Any
and
particular good ones you can recommend?
um Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's a
Oh,
classic.
a classic. Ferris Bueller.
Also, the movie that came out about a year ago, Avengers Endgame. Big
Oh,
Marvel fan.
did you not see it in the theater, or are you just seeing it for the first time?
I did. I saw it twice.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was terrific. It was great. I mean, Captain America says Avengers Assemble, and it just
Yeah.
goosebumps, right?
Mhm.
All right. What else have you been doing?
Also been baking a lot. I take a bake shop at a school, so I've been baking like banana bread, cookies, snickerdoodles, chocolate chip cookies, sugar cookies.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
great. Have you been trying out any strange recipes? Any things that, any great successes? Any great failures?
The banana bread was new for me,
Hmm.
and I loved it. My family loved it. So,
Oh, that's a great thing. That's nice. What else? Anything new? Any other
um,
baking that you've been trying new?
not really baking other than that, but I have been, my family and I, we've been doing sidewalk chalk, like writing positive messages on the sidewalks for people.
Oh,
Like
that's
actually
nice.
today, when I went outside, one of the guys walking by said, "It's a beautiful day. Why don't you draw something on the sidewalk?" So I went out and I just wrote a little positive message saying everything's going to be okay,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
brighten
That's
up people's days.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I think it's those small things that they just add up and they help us to get through. You know, I mean, it's not difficult, but it is stressful, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're just kind of sitting at home or going out once in a while, but those
Mhm.
type of things I think are really great. All right, now, um, you've been listening to the show because you're sort of stuck here on hold for 40 minutes or something like that. If you were putting together the 80s show, and we got one of your songs coming up right after this, but
Mhm.
who else would you have? And if you have the whole 80s, not just 85, but the whole 80s, um, who else would you be putting on this show?
I'm gonna go with "Material Girl" by Madonna. I just love that song.
Okay, fair
Um,
enough.
there's one by Howard Jones called "Things Can Only Get Better." I like
Yep,
that song.
yep. That would be great. That was hit the charts as well. I don't think any of our songs today have hit the charts.
No. Nope.
They did not. Um, all right. Any other songs from the '80s that we should have had on here?
Um, the "Things Can Only Get Better" was the only one I could think of.
All right. And we'll get to that at another show. We want to keep our shows down to a reasonable length so people don't throw their phones out the window after an hour and a half of hearing Connor's music and my music. So, as Connor said with Dr. Rose, we always ask our guests these two different questions. So, first of all, what's two things that you're really grateful for, um, despite being stuck inside, despite the whatever stresses are going on? Is there anything you can say to yourself, geez, I'm really glad that this is here?
Well, I'm grateful to be learning online as
Hmm.
everybody else is for school, and then still be able to text my family and friends, FaceTime them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
also,
can't imagine if this was going on in 1985.
yeah,
It would be even more isolating. So, and I suppose your family's grateful that you have an oven,
yeah.
so you can do a lot of baking. All right. The other thing is, what are you
I'm
looking
also
for?
grateful
Oh, go
for
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
my parents who are essential workers and all the other essential workers out there. Like we
Oh,
put a sign on our yard, on our lawn that says thank you. Then I put a sign on the mailbox thanking mail carriers, UPS, FedEx, all of them.
yeah. Yeah. They're in contact with lots of different people.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that's rough. Well, yeah. Yeah. Thank your parents. That's great. Um, So on the other side of this, when we're cleared from quarantine, when we don't have to social distance anymore, when we can go out and do what we will, what are you looking forward to?
Just being able to see my family and friends again and just going out different places. Like I
And
get excited to take a car ride around.
I did that on Sunday. Sunday was an absolutely beautiful day,
Yes, it was.
and um, and Connor was talking about, and Connor often gets concerned, and I get concerned for him, of the massive amount of people that end up at Harkness. But I gotta
Mhm.
tell people, I went out on Sunday, and first of all, I was in the car, and so not spreading anything or catching anything. And I ended up going. I found I used the website that Mr. Hauser gave us in our comments section when he was on the show last week, and I found two or three places in Basra. And I can tell you that Basra has been practicing social distancing for a long time because it's in the middle of nowhere. And so I went, I think it was State Park Muween, which I had never heard of. Beautiful lake. Took a walk around there. Nobody else was there. And so I wasn't bothering any Connors that work at Camp Muween. So this is my suggestion for people to find those small state parks that nobody goes to. We went to one entrance and there was a couple of cars, but it's a lake. So we drove around a little bit. We found another entrance and there was no cars there. It's beautiful. All right, Emily, what did you give us? Probably one of the most iconic songs from 1985. And I can actually remember going to see this movie with a friend of mine. I think it might have been on New Year's Eve, in fact. What do you got for us today?
I picked out of the song Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds from the
Great.
1985 classic The Breakfast Club.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Emily, for stopping by today. We really appreciate it. Keep on baking. I look forward to seeing you in the library again when
Thank
all of
you.
this is over. And here's Simple Minds from The Breakfast Club.
Won't you come see about me? I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Tell me your trouble. stand above me. Look my way, never love me. Rain keeps falling down, down, down. Will you recognize me? Call my name or walk on by. Rain keeps falling down, 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 down. It's my feeling will win in the end. I won't harm you or touch your defenses. Vanity, insecurity. Don't you forget about me. I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Going to take you apart. I put us back together. Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. But you won't come by. Well, you call my name. As you walk on by. Will you call my
Called the wrong number today. I said, hello, is Joey there? And a woman answered. She said, yes, he is. I said, can I speak to him, please? She said, no, he can't talk right now. He's only 2 months old. I said, all right, I'll wait. One time, right in the middle of a job interview, I took out a book and I started reading. The guy said, what the hell are you doing? I said, let me ask you one question. If you're in a vehicle and you were traveling at the speed of light, then you turned your lights on, would they do anything? He said, I don't know. I said, forget it then. I don't want to work for you.
All right, that was Stephen Wright from his 1985 HBO special. If you get a chance, check him out. Stephen Wright from Massachusetts. Always nice to see local boys make good. We're almost done here. Connor, we've got 2 more songs, and then I think we're out of here, right?
Yep, that's it. 2 more.
All right, so let's see. Let's get to this one first. One of my favorites from the 80s. Here it is, the Eurythmics. right, Eurythmics, would I lie to you? And we're almost out of here. We just want to remind everybody that if you want to get on the show, don't wait for me to email you. Don't wait for Connor to email you. Let us know. If there's somebody out there that you think, hey, this person would be great to have on the show. They have an interesting hobby. They're doing something interesting at home. They're helping out the community. Whatever. Let us know. Put something down in the comments. Send us an email. Our email addresses are right on this video. You can let us know. And if you're looking for Huey Lewis, Madonna, We Are the World, or Cyndi Lauper, tune into Connor's dad's show.
That's right. Not ours. Ours, we have the ones that have the lasting power. That have well, you'll find that stuff here. But yeah, if you have any interest at all, please feel free to email me or Mr. Catterat. That was a great show. Thank you again to Emily Swift and Dr. Rose for coming on. And yeah, next week, 1995. I can't wait to introduce some old school hip hop to Mr. Catterat's world.
That sounds wonderful.
Some Icelandic electronic music. Bjork will definitely be on there.
I was just saying to myself the other day, you know what I'm missing out of life? Icelandic electronica. And
well, you should be missing that out of your life. Yeah, some grunge maybe even. Well, it's going to be all Mr. Catterat's favorites next week in 1995. And thank you everyone for tuning in. And next week, if you want to tune in to hear me torture Mr. Catterat with new music, which it's really not new. I'm
a big boy. I'll get over it. It's all right. But I'm taking at least one show next week where I'm just playing whatever I want. And the heck with Connor Elsey. That's what I say.
Boo.
Maybe not. I don't know. All right. Anyway, thanks, everybody. Here's what we're finishing up with. Certainly, the Clash had broken up, or at least the Clash that I knew and loved. They were on their last legs. The guitarists for the Clash formed Big Audio Dynamite, and this is from their first album, The Bottom Line. Thanks, everybody. See you on Friday.
Horses are on the track. There's a new dance that's going around. When the hits start flying, you gotta get down. All the young people dance on the square. The old time groove is really nowhere. So when you reach the bottom line, the only thing to do is climb. Pick yourself up off the floor. Don't know what you're waiting for. A dance to the tune of economic decline is when you do the bottom line. Nagging questions always remain. Why did it happen and who was to blame? So when you reach the bottom line, the only thing to do is climb. Pick yourself up off the floor. Don't know what you're waiting for. horses are on the track. They've been doing it down at the zoo, and I can show ya. Here's what to do. All of the states and all the UK, even the Soviets are swinging away. So when you reach the bottom line, the only thing to do is climb. Pick yourself up off the floor. Anything you want is yours. The road ahead's clear as a motorway. Give us the outdated breads and send us on our way. The chance to dream or take a holiday. Romeo, oh Romeo, you gotta have your say. I'm gonna take you to part 2.